All right, we've lost a few people along the way. A couple are still joining. All right, so for this, we want to take this A2 a bit further as well. So we've made our Padlet or our Trello. So we want to make sure that we can populate that a bit more. Done that. Done that. All right, so what we want to do is in this second part here down the bottom where it's got write your expectations for your project. So this is the first thing you can put into your Padlet or your Trello. Write the questions. You can write these questions in here as to these ones. After that, the bottom part. So write your expectations for your project and for the rest of the semester. So what do you want your project to achieve? What would you like by the end of the semester? Do you want a 7, or are you happy with a 4, or happy to do a 5? Whatever you want to aim for. And other bits and pieces like come to the tutorials, do the readings, work on it every week. So I have a little reminder in my to-do list that reminds me to do small tasks every week. So for example, when I'm doing the marking, I'll have like mark 10 assignments a day, or I'll have every week, you know, record the attendance, because it's easy to miss it. It's easy to forget things. And in order to be consistent, if you have those little reminders, it's really handy. And if you want to, if you've got the Apple stuff, at least I know you can do it. You can actually get Siri to remind you on things as well. So on Thursday, remind me to do an hour's worth on my assignment, right? When I come to uni on Thursday. And so as soon as you turn up on Thursday, it'll go, here's your reminder to work on your assignment. That's quite clever too. That's quite good. I quite often get Siri to do things, but she doesn't write the assignment for me, which is a little bit annoying. And she doesn't mark assignments either. That'd be nice. Siri, mark all my assignments. They're done. Everyone passed. That'd be nice, isn't it? It's probably not that far away too, you know. Be a bit of a worry. So let's do that first. Let's give yourself 10 minutes for that. When you're finished, answer the poll for me. And then we'll move on. I want to go through the A2 as well. All right, let's do that now. So in your Trello or your Padlet, answer those questions, put the questions in and think of an answer for it, what you want to do. And when you're finished, let me know that you've finished in the Padlet, and we'll be done by 10 minutes. So 18 past 11, let's do that. Any questions, let me know. Sean, we're just working on, you see on screen? We're just spending 10 minutes to answer these questions at the bottom and put that in your Padlet. It's on the screen, Time. See the ones at the bottom? On the slide. See those dot points at the bottom? You got it? All right, work quickly. Let me know when you're done. Hi Zio, we're just working on these questions. So in your Padlet or your Trello, answer the questions on the bottom of this slide and let me know when you're finished. Then I've got some instructions for you on the chat. If you can see them, let me know if you can't. Cool. We'll be finished in about 7 minutes. Zio, I could have a quick look, but it's only going to be very general feedback because it's assessment, okay? So I can tell you whether you're heading in the right direction, but I can't give you like a blowtorch answer. If you wanted to, you could send it through to Studiosity as well, if you haven't already. If they give you a timeline that you can, if you want more detailed feedback, that's an option for you as well, okay? But I'm happy to give you some general feedback. All right. One thing to think about when you're doing this sort of work is it's very common to try and get the right answer for everything and stick to it. So even for something like this where we said, you know, what do you want to achieve? What do you want your project to achieve? What sort of mark do you want? You might be very clear as to what the answers for those might be. You might not be. You might be a little bit unsure. That's okay to be unsure about it, but starting is more important. You can always come back and refine it and revise it, but the danger is not starting and not doing anything and then go, oh, I'm just thinking about it, which means doing nothing. You know, it's very tempting, and it's a real challenge to get past it. Look, and I'm guilty of it as well. But sometimes just starting anywhere is amazing, especially if you just go, I'll just spend 5 minutes on it. And you'll be surprised in that first 5 minutes, you'll go, oh, actually, this isn't as hard as I thought. You know, the amount of times that I go, oh, I'll sit and think about it for days and I'll go, oh, this is going to be so hard. Then I start it and then I go, oh, I should have started this 3 days ago. You know, and then you go, oh, why didn't I do that? But, you know, you learn over time. Sometimes it takes years to get a bit better at that. But anyway. All right, are we all done? Who's not done? Let's have a look. 12 people haven't responded yet. So give me a quick update on the poll. and then we'll continue. Now, if you've finished, you can have a read through that A2 task sheet. We're going to go through that in a minute and talk about it. You don't have to show me. I can see it through your link if I jump into that. It's up to you. I'm not the one that tells you what you're going to achieve. That's up to you to decide. So once you finish doing those questions, have a look at that A2. Think about what the creative work you might want to develop. Then you can start putting that in your Trello or your Padlet as well. 1 minute to go. And for those that were wondering about what time boxing is, this is exactly what time boxing is. Giving you a task and giving you a deadline, right? And then you get stuff done. All right, some people haven't responded yet. Chukyung, Ivy, Kaylin, Maeve, Nadi, Fung, Sean, Junrizio. Just give me an update on where you're up to, please. Give you a couple minutes. Can you see that? The Word doc? Yeah. You guys online, can you see that okay? Give me a thumbs up if you're still here. Cool, thank you. Okay, so let's go through this so that we're aware of what we're making. It's always good, I think, for any sort of project, whether you're working or whether you're at uni, to know what it is that you're actually making. So we've had a bit of a look at that in the previous session. So let's go through this now and understand everything that we need to know to get started and what it is that we're actually expected to do. So this is the augmented poster. It's due in week 13 on Friday night. So that will have an extension. I think it does actually. Let us check. Let's check. If you're ever not sure, just check to make sure to see whether it has an extension. Yes, it is eligible for extension. So that means that you will have the due date's on the Friday, but if you needed to do the extra 48 hours, you could, and that would take it through to the Sunday night of that as well, as we discussed at the start. Length is 300 words minimum. So that doesn't mean write 300 words and stop. It just means 300 words is the minimum of what is expected. It's 50% of your overall grade, so it's a fair chunk, right? So if you're not doing very well in the first one, that's okay. Hopefully you can pick it up in the essay, but if you do have issues with that one as well, this one can help pick you up as well, which is good. Individual, so don't work together on it. So what you need to do, so for this assignment, you'll work individually to develop an augmented academic poster that presents a thesis statement, so something that you're going to investigate about the future of the creative industries. Your poster will link to original creative content in which you further explore and demonstrate your thesis statement. Your creative content must take one of the following forms: a chatbot, an immersive experience, or a game. Cite all research according to the guidelines in SiteRight, and a reference list must be included on the front of your poster. So in this task, you're creating a poster. An academic poster must include a title, your name, at least 2 infographics, text that explains your research and supports your thesis. That's the 300 words. And the reference list with at least 3 academic or industry sources. I would do, now this is my tip for you, I would have at least 3 minimum sources, but I would have a balance between academic and industry. As a guide, I always say to students, you should have 1 reference for every 100 words. So that doesn't mean every 100 words you write, you need to have a reference. It means that if you've got a 300 word assignment, you should have at least 3. If you've got 500, at least 5, and so on, right? In total, not every 100 words. One semester students thought that I was talking about every 100 words you had to have a reference. That's not true. It's just in total. So the creative work, it'll be linked from your augmented poster. So that's what the QR code's for. This creative work can be presented in different formats. So it can be a digital platform, an application, or an embedded website, or it can be linked, or it must be linked to your poster. So you can do that as a QR code. You can generate a QR code. If you have a look online and type in how to generate a QR code, there's always lots of options, and you can just link the link to wherever it lives. Some services will automatically do that for you, some won't. Use APA referencing. Then it's got the instructions on how to submit, which you should know by now. What you need to submit: a cover sheet with the unit code, unit name, semester, assignment title, your name, your number, and the statement of authorship as well, which is that statement there. Whoops, just that statement. Submit your poster as a PDF to turn it in. It's a good idea. Make sure the file's under 20 meg. So when you do a PDF, if it's too large for whatever reason, you can actually go into Acrobat and you can reduce the file size. If you go into File, it says Reduce File Size. I have to do that every week for my slides because Collaborate doesn't like big files. Must be designed as an A2 size poster. So for those of you that aren't aware, paper comes in different sizes. The typical size that you get out of the printer is A4. A3 is double A4. A2 is double A3, which is quite big. So make sure, because it is a poster after all. So that's the idea of it, is design it as A2. Now you can look up the dimensions of A2 as well. And then if you're using Canva or you're using whatever, program to do that, you can adjust the size accordingly. All right, learning outcomes, we've got them there. Let's have a look at the criteria sheet. Task 2 rubric. This is what we want. All right, analysis and evaluation worth 30%. So it's important to always look at your criteria sheet to understand what it is that we're marking and what it is that's important. So that gives you an idea of what to focus on. So let's look at analysis and evaluation worth 30%, and let's look at the high distinction. Poster and creative content demonstrate creative, thorough, and well-reasoned critical analysis and evaluation of an issue impacting the future of the creative industries with a wide-reaching and very thorough selection of research sources. Okay, let's think about that for a minute. What do you think that means? What do you think this part means? What is it talking about? How could you demonstrate that? There's a couple of things in there, but have a think and tell me either in the chat or you can yell out here if you want. What do you think it means? There's some key words in there that you can tell that separate it from the others, but what do you think you should be doing to get that? Put it in the chat for me. So the part I've got highlighted, what do you think you need to do to get that right? What does that mean?
Yeah, I have to choose well-written article for my essay.
Good resources. So a good range of resources. So when we're looking at resources, what is a good guide to ensure that you've got good resources?
Check peer review.
If they're peer reviewed, yeah, that's good. Remember that CRAP method I talked about? Remember that one? Currency, recency, or relevance, accuracy. Remember that one? No? Didn't I show you? Let's have a look. Varieties of good supporting points of your analysis. Yes. So remember to get good, let me find the reference I'm looking for. To make sure that the references are good, you should be using this CRAP test. Now, I'm not swearing for the sake of it. Currency, relevance, authority, accuracy, and purpose. Right, so let's go back to that. I'll send you the link. There you go. So have a look at that. That will help you identify whether your resources are good or not. It won't do all of it, but at least it'll give you a good indication of whether it's, if you're using something that's 10 years old, that might not be the best choice. Yeah. What else have we got in there? Credible sources, Hamish says, that's good. Yes. What else? What does critical analysis mean? Tell me what critical analysis is in your own words, do you think? How could you demonstrate that? Also, remember we were talking about thesis statements. So what is it that you're wanting to try and investigate? What are you trying to show? Any thoughts, any comments? Type it up, have a go. If you're not sure, put it in, we can talk about it. You're all going a bit shy on me. So when we're talking about critical analysis and evaluation, we want you to analyze, not just describe. So you would have heard this before in other units as well. So we want you to analyze what's going on and discuss it. Don't just describe what everyone else is saying and don't have any comments about it. You want to compare and contrast what's going on, discuss what's going on to make sure that you're providing a good discussion around it, not just listing a whole bunch of points that don't relate.
Put my own idea.
Yeah, you're making a comment in there as well, but don't write I think. Yeah, you're analyzing it as well. So when we say critical analysis means you're identifying what's good, what's bad, and why. Yeah? All right. Evaluation of the issue impacting the future of the creative industries. So that requires that you need to make sure that you are choosing a good topic. So you might want to spend some time making sure that the issue you're looking at is something that is current, is something that people still need to understand. Because otherwise, you could be talking about something that's already been solved. A thorough selection of research sources. So as I said before, have a combination of industry and academic. Remember when you're searching for academic stuff to use online and peer-reviewed to help get better sources. Also use the date range controls to make sure that things are pretty recent. And remember that when you're doing industry stuff, none of that's going to be peer-reviewed. So you need to turn that off to make sure that you find stuff. Now, we came up with a good point before. If you can't find stuff in the library, you can also use Google Scholar. That's fine too. You may or may not know this too, but if you can't find stuff or you're having trouble finding things, if you've written out what your search question is, you can book a time with the librarian staff and they will help you actually find some resources and help you refine your search phrase. Have you done that? No, it's really good. When we do the doctorate stuff and you've got to have like thesis questions, you have a whole series of them. And it's really great to sit down, and you don't have to be here. You can do it online as well. They'll work through with you as to what your search questions are. And they can say maybe it's this and that, or maybe this or that, and help you with designing that. And that makes a huge difference. And then you can keep those search phrases and you can just use them. I need more of this. Put it in. Off you go. Good. Thesis statement. Insightful, well-reasoned, and well-evidenced based thesis statement. So is it something that's relevant? Is it something that's going to be interesting to understand the answer to? And does it have any support or evidence that you can use? Original creative content. All right. Highly engaging original content, creative content that insightfully demonstrates what you've said you're going to do on the thesis. So make sure it links. And you've got to create it. Don't just copy someone else's. Definitely don't do that. Visual design and written expression. So the information is presented in a highly logical and cohesive format. So makes sense. Meticulous attention given to spelling, punctuation and grammar. Referencing uses APA style and is wholly accurate in its application. So for a 7, that means that your referencing, it needs to be perfect. Your spelling and grammar needs to be perfect. And the layout and design of it needs to be really nice and make sense. Not impossible, but you've got to, that's one of your task points in your Padlet or in your Trello. if you really want to get a 7, to make sure that it's as right as it can be. Yeah. So studiosity would be really good to have a look at that as well. That's always good to get another set of eyes to look at it, which is a good idea. So the breakdown for that, 20% for the visual design and written, the originality, pardon me, of your creative contents, 35%, and that thesis statement is 15 as well. So make sure that thesis statement is clear as well. Don't hide it in amongst the paragraph as well. All right, any questions about the assessment task 2? If you're good, give me a thumbs up. Otherwise, we will continue. Okay. Righto. Let's continue then. If you do have a question, you can always ask whenever you want. That's okay. Let's go back to the slides. All right, let's look at this one. So we started doing the planning in the other session, in the Padlet or the Trello. We did the expectations. We've done that. Let's move on. We've done that. So for the rest, after you do this submission, this is something that you need to manage. I'll help you in terms of where I think you should be up to, but because you're all doing 3 different things, it will be a little different, but I will be doing check-ins with you every week anyway. So make sure that you've got an update, which is more than just, I'm going okay. Okay, I want to see what tasks you've been doing. We want to have a look at your Trello or your Padlet, and I want to see a progression of how you're working through it. So what have you done? What are you going to do next? It doesn't have to be fully filled out until week 13. I want to see what you've done this week, what you're going to do next week. Yeah, that's the key stuff. So the creative process looks like this, and that's true, right? It's never a straight line. You will go on all sorts of distractions. You'll go down, you know, dead-end roads. You'll go down paths that won't be useful for you. That's part of the journey, right? So this sort of stuff, especially with a thesis question, you've got to explore. So think about if you move to a new place and you don't know where everything is, you can do some research to get an indication of where things are, but some of it is just go and have a look and see what happens, right? And follow some things through to whenever they get boring. So you might have an idea of what your thesis question is, but you might stumble upon a whole bunch of stuff that you go, actually, this is better. Well, you can change, right? So don't be too restrictive on what you find and sort of think about it and go, oh, I've got to stick with what I said because I've already written it in the Padlet. No, you can update it. That's fine, but don't do that in the last week. Stick with it if you're in the last week. That's too late to change. So don't be scared or concerned that your process is going to be messy, right? And at this age as well, you're probably thinking, oh, I don't know how I work yet. That's all right. It took me a long time to work out how I worked. Some things I really have to do. If I'm wanting to do something really quickly, I have to get a big piece of paper or a whiteboard and write on it. For me to understand what I know about the topic and to see where the links are, I have to be visual about it. That makes all the difference. Sometimes I do it with Post-it notes and put it on a big table and just lay it all out. Sometimes I do it on the iPad in Notability and I can just draw things on it to sort of see a map of how it all is. That's how I do it. Some people need to write it all out and then they understand it better. But if you keep it in your head and you don't get it out of your head, it's hard to progress. It slows it down a lot. So I would say get it out of your head first, then analyze what you've got. See what it is that you know, and then you can discover other things and you can take it forward. And then you've got something, it's like what I usually do. If I'm doing a project, I will map out what all the elements are, and then it'll be really messy and untidy. And then once I'm happy with I'm happy with the structure, then I'll go back and I'll tidy up. I'll make it look a lot neater. So, and then you can put that into your timeline as well. All right. This is so true. The creative process, this is exactly how you feel at different times, right? When you've made anything, and this doesn't matter whether you think you're a creative or not, this is always the case. So the first one you go, oh, this is great. You're really excited. You know, you're going to make something or you're going to design something. Then you go, oh, this bit's a bit hard. You know, how do we do this bit? Then sometimes you can sort of solve that pretty quickly. Other times it takes a little bit more effort and you have to sort of go, oh, I think I need a bit more help with this. Ask for help too, right? If you don't know how to do something, look, first thing I always do is, like, I'll tell you, like I was telling you before, right? I don't know if you were listening at that point, but with this buying an iPod, right? And I decided, no, I'm just going to buy all the bits and put it together. Then I thought, hang on, I was in the, this is awesome, I'm going to do this. And then I went to the number 2 of, oh no, what have I just done? Have I just bought all these parts and I can't put them together? So then I typed into Google and went, how do you put an iPod together? And there's videos for it, step by step of do this, like that, hold your finger like that, put this like this. And I'm like, yep, that's good. Hopefully I won't be in stage 3 of this is terrible. That would be the point where I try to power it on and it doesn't work. That would be a bit of a disaster. So hopefully that's okay. Definitely don't feel like you're number 4 when you think I am terrible. I spoke to my daughter this morning. She's doing a cross-country competition this afternoon at the University of Queensland. I know we're not supposed to mention them, but I'll say it quietly. Anyway, she's racing there this afternoon and she came in the top 10 of her school. So she's 10, right? So she's only little. And so she was like, oh, but I don't know, I'm really nervous about it. She said, you know, I'm terrible at it. And I said, yeah, but you're in the top 10 of your grade. That's pretty good, you know. But I also scared her a little bit too, because I said, you know, everyone else is going to be in the top 10 of their grade too at the competition. So you'll have to really try hard. And she was like, oh, I don't want you to come because I'm not very good. And I said, I don't care. I'm going to come anyway. So I'll let you know how she goes. She's doing that this afternoon at about 4 o'clock. So I'm going to go and watch and cheer her on and embarrass her probably, but try not to embarrass her. I am terrible. So don't be I am terrible. Don't worry about that. Sometimes you feel like you get stuck. Getting stuck is part of the process. It's working through it and sometimes taking a different approach or getting a second set of eyes on it or asking for help is a good idea too. So I'm available for that number 4 stage and the number 3 stage, even number 2. I think you can handle number 1 by yourself. You can be awesome by yourself. You can tell me you're awesome if you want to, up to you. Number 5, this might be okay. When you think you've cracked it, that's good. Number 6, this is awesome, is when you've actually got it done and you've finished and you can have a sleep and you can watch TV for a bit. So the middle part from 2 through to 4 or even 5 can be a little tricky, but just remember that there's support available. I'm here to help you. Don't be shy. Please ask for help if you're not sure, and I can point you in the right direction. But definitely don't waste days thinking about what you could do. All right? Have a think, see if you can solve it. If you can't, let me know and I can head you off in the right direction. All right, the creative process. Now it's important to understand this so that you know what stage you're at, right? So we've gone through that other one, it's a bit fun. But in this one, we're thinking about, all right, we've done the preparation, we've started that, we've got a bit of a timeline together, we've got to populate those tasks a bit more, but we've at least started, which is always good. The incubation part is the thinking, you might be at the point now where you're going, oh, I'm not really sure what I might want to do. I'm going to think about it for a bit. That's okay. Give it a couple of days to think about it. Pardon me. So let it sit for a while, have a think. Then you might come to a point where you'll go, actually, the insight that I can see is this. Or the idea I want to follow, that I want to create the thesis question out of, is this. I think this is an interesting idea. Then you can check to see whether that idea is any good, as to whether it's already been solved or not, whether it's something that there is some research about it, or have other people found this problem as well and how have they dealt with it. That's the evaluation part. Then the elaboration part is actually doing the assignment of getting into the details of that and being able to talk about it in detail and finding more research. Also, as a note with the research, just remember that researching isn't that just go to it once and that's all you get, right? You can come back to parts. If you don't know about how to talk about something, you can go back to the research or find some other research to supplement it, to support it. Don't think that, oh, I've done the research part, I can't go back. It's not a buffet and it's one turn only, right? Go back. If you want more, go and get more if you need it. Love a buffet. All right, so broken down into parts. And this is the secret of getting anything done, is to break it down into parts, right? Understand what it is that you're doing. What are you making? When I used to work in advertising and I'd brief in a creative team, the first thing I would always say to them, we are making this. Then they go, right. So we're designing a billboard. We're doing a brochure. We're making a TV commercial. This is what we're making. And then they go, okay, yep. Now tell us the rest of it, right? So immerse yourself in the topic. So that's the go and explore part. What is it that you think you're interested in? Go and see what's there, right? See if you actually like it or not. You might get there and you go, actually, no, I don't like this at all. And you might want to change. That's fine. Now's the time to do it. Looking and absorbing inspiration. So this means look for things that are interesting. Look for things that you can do. Look for things that could be relevant for you. If it is, make a note. So could be a writer reading other writers, a musician listening to other musicians, a marketing specialist looking at market research and previous campaigns. So when you're starting something, a lot of people like to immerse themselves into the literature and immerse themselves into the research to see what they can find. Still on preparation, and we're talking about a bit of activity now. So think for a moment, this is for you to do, think for a moment about who or what inspires you in your area or interest. Doesn't need to be directly linked to your creative technology at the moment. Actually, you can write it in the chat feed. We'll give you 5 minutes. Don't write it in yet, but you might want to put this in your Trello or your Padlet as well. That'd be good to build that up, I think. So maybe put it in your Padlet or your Trello to start with, and then when I ask you to share it, then you can pop it in the chat for me. So let's give yourselves 5 minutes for it. What are we up to? 11:51, so 11:57, say, give you 5 minutes. And then we'll see what you've got. So, who or what inspires you in your area or your interest area? That's what we're after. You might want to do a bit of a search. That's okay. 1 or 2 things. Let's see how you go. See you in 5 minutes. If you're not sure what to do, ask. All right, if you're finished, you can start posting into your, or you can post into your own Padlet or Trello board, but also can you post a copy of it into the chat for us so we can have a look and see what people have said? Okay, cool. Thanks, Time. What else? What have other people got?
Can I put it in the chat?
Yep. So put it in the chat. Absolutely. Oh, Parasite. Yeah, I know that one. Yeah, good. Hamish, seeing how creative it can be on platforms like YouTube. Yeah, that's an interesting one too. Hamish, have you ever seen Casey Neistat? Yep. That's the inspiration for him as to why he got on YouTube. Do you know that story? He has a son that's in his early 20s. So Casey Neistat's background is he's actually a film producer, right? So he was making documentaries properly, like proper stuff, which, or traditional, I should say. And he was very proud of himself because him and his brother got this documentary on HBO. And he was very proud of himself. And he said to his son, who was a teenager at the time, he said, "Oh, son, look what I've done. I've got this documentary on HBO on TV. How exciting is that?" And he said, "Dad, no one watches TV anymore." He went, "What?" He said, "No one watches it." He said, "Well, what do they watch?" He said, "They watch YouTube. All the good stuff's on YouTube." And he was like, "Tell me about this mysterious thing called YouTube." And so then he realized that, okay, so this is a totally different thing. So what he then decided to do was, he doesn't do it like this anymore, but he used to make a daily video, somewhere between 5 and 10, 15 minutes every day. Every day. So anyone that knows anything about making videos at all knows that making 5 to 10 minutes of finished video every day. So this is concepting, shooting, editing, and uploading every day for years. That is really hard to do. Very challenging. Yeah, that is really hard to do. So that's what really made Casey Neistat famous, because he made the thing about it, right? Like, I could put 10 minutes of absolute crap on YouTube a day about my life, and I'm sure that no one would be interested. But he used to do it, and it would be amazing. Even on a quiet day, he would do something and he'd tell a narrative. And he is famous for doing the shots of having a camera set up somewhere, then coming along on his skateboard and stopping and coming up and talking to it. So people actually thought that he was just coming up and talking to the camera and didn't even think that No, he set the camera up, he's checked it, turned it on, then gone back, then come up and done it to make it look spontaneous. So some of the famous things that he's done, there's a really good one. If you look up Casey Neistat and Emirates, he did a really fun video about what it's like to fly in first class on Emirates. And he goes through, and he's rough as, he's so rough. He bangs things around. One time he actually wanted to see whether his drone could fly in the aircraft. And so he actually fired up the drone in the plane, and it freaked out and made a whole heap of noise. But if you want to have a look at some of his stuff, have a look at it and then think about how much work in terms of this creative process he was doing on a daily basis. And that was in addition to being a YouTube brand ambassador, to being a Samsung ambassador, to making all these other projects, to starting his own business. So much work, but so efficient, right?
Can you put his name in the chat, please?
Yeah.
I want to see him.
Oh, I can show you. How about I show you? We'll show you a video and you can have a look at it. I'll show you the one I'm thinking about. I think we've got time. Hang on, let me find the video and you can all watch it. It goes for a while though. Let's go. He's not the most attractive man ever, but that's all right. 77 million views. Hang on. So this goes for 9 minutes. So you can watch it for 9 minutes and you can tell me when you're finished. We'll watch it here as well. But go and have a look at that. Tell me when you're finished and then we'll go through. Oh, you've seen it. Or you can watch another one then, Hamish. So have a look at that and come back and tell me when you're finished.
Want to see the coolest thing I've ever seen in an airplane seat?
This is the heavy, heavy monster sound. The nuttiest sound around. So if you're coming up the street and you're beginning to feel the heat, well, listen, Buster, you better start to move your feet.
When I think of the greatest days in my entire life, I think of when my children were born, or perhaps when my son graduated high school, or today, when I was upgraded from business to first on Emirates. I don't know what I did to deserve this, I really don't. Oh my God. Snacks? Writing kit? We're in the air, just left Dubai. I got my own doors. It's like my own little house over here. Total privacy. The TV here is enormous. It's like a movie theater. It's touchscreen. But you can also control it with this thing.
So hopefully it looks like people have nearly finished that. Do you know why he wears the sunglasses? No? Does anyone online know why he wears the sunglasses? Come on, film students. I'm expecting you to know this. Someone must know. How can you be film students and not know this? The reason being is when you're filming something, you're wanting to see that you're in frame, right? So if you're doing it as a selfie, you need to understand whether you're in frame or out of frame or whatever. But if you're looking at the screen, you're not looking at the lens, and it's obvious. So if you're not looking at the lens, it makes the level of engagement not look as good. So he decided he's going to wear the sunglasses. So you can't tell whether he's looking at the screen or whether he's looking at the lens. So you don't worry about that. But if you could see that he was looking at the lens, even having a couple of centimeters off, you can tell, right? So that's why he does that. Anyway, that's always a bit of fun, but it's good to understand that. Let's see what else we've got too, because in that time we've had a few other people post up stuff. Hamish, we've talked about. Shungying. Metaverse makes me interested in the new type of life method. Yeah, that's interesting too, isn't it? Very interesting to see how it'll take off and see what you can do on it. Levine Thomas Lang inspired me to play drums as my hobby. Excellent. Yuki, the moment I get inspired is when I'm listening to music. Yeah, who exactly though, Yuki? Who do you like? Who do you get inspired by? Ivy says, live 2D inspires me to draw and use some software to create animation. Yep, excellent. El Tavino, oh, how do you pronounce that? Vishnu Tama, is that right? The CEO of one of the biggest televisions in Indonesia. Also a minister for 1 year before getting reshuffled. Oh, okay, right, good. Yep, good. Excellent. All right, let's continue on. Hopefully everyone's watched that video by now. But when you think about all those shots, like even the one where he's put the camera in the drinks thing, then he's reset it and cut it together to look like he's just pressed it, even though that shot would have taken a couple of minutes to do. But you forget about that. Suspension of disbelief, they call it. Anyway, back in the day, I used to work in film and TV for about 10, 11 years. So I realized how hard that all is too. Okay, so another activity for it. So now that you've told me what some of your influences are, I'd like you to do a Google search for the inspiration you've noted. And I want you to put it back into your own Padlet or Trello, but also put it in the Tute Padlet as well, called Inspiration. And I think that's on Blackboard. But I'll send you the link. Hang on. Let's have a look. Yeah. All right. So I'll share this to you. Copy link. So do a search for your inspiration. You can put in some image, text, a video. Sorry, I just touched the mic. Whatever you want, but just put that together and put that into your own one, as well as the Tute one, which I've just shared as well, and call it Inspiration. Post at least one. You can do more. Let's see what we end up with. Any questions? Let me know. Let's get into that. You can also find the link on Blackboard as well. I'll give you about 10 minutes to do this one, so probably about 12:30. Hi, Maeve. How you going? We're just doing an exercise about using your inspiration you've just listed. Do a Google search on it and upload an image or a video or something to support it. Put it into your own Padlet or your own Trello, but also share it on this Padlet here as well, which is the class one, so that everyone can see it. All right? Let me know if you have any questions.
Ini siapa ini depan lucu? Kita ngomongin Asian Games, ya. Apa ya?
Games dari upacara pembukaan
Sama.
Datang sini suruh ngisi acara ini. Kemarin juga pengen istirahat, ada aja gitu ya segala macam. Jadi memang belum benar-benar bisa sempat istirahat. Gitu. Padahal niatnya tuh kalau nggak kemarin gitu hari.
Ladies and gentlemen, Welcome to Gelora Bung Karno Stadium for the opening ceremony of the 18th Asian Games Jakarta Palembang 2018.
Hadirin sekalian, selamat datang di Stadion Gelora Bung Karno untuk acara pembukaan Asian Games ke-18 Jakarta Palembang 2018.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Gelora Bung Karno Stadium for the opening ceremony of the 18th Asian Games Jakarta Palembang 2018.
Hadirin sekalian, selamat datang di Stadion Gelora Bung Karno untuk acara pembukaan Asian Games ke-18 Jakarta Palembang 2018.
All right, let's see what we've got. So I know Ava Max. I don't know her, but there's some interesting things in there. So there's some good Meta. How to edit YouTube videos for beginners. Excellent. Parasite, Jim Lee. Is it Mao Yi? Is that right? Did I say that right? Maybe not. You can tell me, Karen. What else? Oh, man. Oh, did I get it right? Amazing. My partner will be very impressed. Yeah? Looks very serious. I can try. All right. I'll have a look later. Excellent. Opening ceremony of the 18th Asian Games in Jakarta. Yeah, good. Excellent. Good job. Well done. All right. Let's continue. Bracket groups. Do you want to do this all together? Or do you want me to put you into groups? Which would you like? Together. All right. Let's do that. All right. I'll go back to the board. Now, I'd like you to talk about this, so you will have to put your audio on. So let's start with Yuki. Can you tell us about the one you've posted and why you like it? This is the Attack the Ages one.
So basically my hobby is to playing a musical instrument and listening to music. So this video is like a rearrange the existing song to the old-fashioned so yeah, so there's a lot of inspiring things. This movie.
So I haven't played it yet, but do they do like an old style of modern stuff? Do they?
Basically, it's 60s.
That's cool. I like that. There's what's it called? Something jukebox. There's an American group that does that too, where they get new songs and they do like old versions of it. It's really cool. I like that stuff. Excellent. Good. Thank you. Now, who's got the Jim Lee one? Was that you, Time?
Yep, that's me.
Yeah. Do you want to tell us about that?
Sure. So, I choose Jim Lee because I read a lot of comics. I read since I was a child.
Yep.
I really like his art style. That's why he inspired me to draw.
So do you do a similar style to him? Is that sort of influenced you that much, or you do a different style, but you're still influenced by his style?
I first started to do his style and then change when I grow up more.
Yeah, because it takes a while to sort of develop your own style, doesn't it? Yeah, cool. Excellent. Thank you. Kieran, now you've told us a bit about this already, so you can tell us now on audio.
Yeah.
Yep.
So just talk about why I like that singer.
Yeah, why? Yeah.
Because he joined TV show and they needed to sing a lot of songs to have a company. And another singer maybe is rich or have a lot of fans. Only Mao Yi haven't nothing, just nothing. And the later he win the thing because his song have a lot of power, and here the word is so pretty, so lovely, so good, fantastic.
Ah,
So
fair enough.
sometimes, yeah. So sometimes, if I feel so sadness, I will hear his song. It's giving me a lot of power. Yeah.
Mm.
So good.
Right. There you go. I was just trying to remember what my partner likes to listen to. She's a big fan of Jay Chow.
Oh,
Yeah, do you know that one?
I don't know. Maybe later I can search.
Yeah, maybe that's not the Chinese name, but I don't know. But maybe I pronounced it wrong.
Okay.
Could be possible. Who knows?
Yeah.
All right. Excellent. Thank you. Altavino, do you want to tell us about yours?
Yes, sir. Yeah, so this video is about opening ceremony of Asian Games. One of Wisnu Tama's work. I love his video because his creative work is different from the others.
How so?
Yeah, his creative work is more aimed to young generation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I like his work.
You know, that space, I was interested when you put that up because creating an event in a stadium is really complicated. And when you think about how that's changed over the years, like if you saw the Beijing Winter Olympics and you see, you know, the London Olympics and you see the various different Olympic Games and Commonwealth Games and whatever else, as to how that's changed and the use of holograms and screens and LCD panels or LED panels and LED lighting and all of that stuff and drones, you know, it's really changed a lot, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you. Now we'll go down. Tay, do you want to tell them about Parasite? Why? You've got a little microphone here. Here you go. You can tell them about that.
I got inspiration by Parasite because, as I mentioned it, I am interested in making films, and like movie Parasite won lots of prize in like for Oscar or in lots of movie awards. So I thought I want to make some movie like this one. So yeah, so I choose this.
Excellent. Well done. Hamish. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, gee, you're loud. Hang on.
Sorry.
Just let me. No, you're right. I had everything turned up because some people are a little bit quieter. 1 minute. There you go. Off you go.
I chose how to edit a YouTube video because that's one of the first videos I watched when getting into that hobby.
Yep.
And I just fell in love with it. I do it for fun. And
oh, really?
Yeah, I just like playing around with editing software. I use Premiere Pro.
Yep.
And yeah, I find it really fun. Everyone has their own taste and their own style, and it's very interesting.
Did you know, I was just telling Tay while we were working before that I actually worked in film and TV for about 10, 11 years. So I learned how to edit on the... Yeah, I learned to edit on the reel-to-reels, not reel-to-reel, tape deck to tape deck. So on the digital beta cams and stuff like that. With, you know, in and out points and actually having to mark in and out points and switches and all the rest of it. And it's so much easier now. I look at it now and go, oh my God.
It's instant.
So much easier. You know, we used to have all the tapes there and, you know, having to do masters and sub-masters and whatever else. And I look at it now and just go, oh my God, it's so much easier than how they used to do it. It takes so long to do things, you know, and just all the color grading and all the color corrections of things and whatever. It's amazing. Excellent. That's great. And you must be a real editor then if you enjoy it, because I tell you what, it's one thing I don't enjoy doing is editing. That's for sure.
Yeah,
I'll happily get someone else to do it. Yeah. And, you know, I've got friends who I worked with who now, well, one of them worked on, she was the editor on Snowpiercer. You know that show on Netflix, I think it is, or Disney Plus? You know that show? Yeah, if you look it up, it's done all right. But she was on Snowpiercer. She's in New Zealand at the moment doing some other film as well. And one of my other friends, she's an ABC documentary editor. So she does all sorts of different things on ABC at the moment. She's back in Sydney, but they both worked overseas for a while. So it's an interesting career, that's for sure. You know, once you get an established reel and you get the contacts, you know, can be a great career path for you, that's for sure.
For sure.
Excellent, Hamish, thank you. And look, having said that too, the QUT Film and TV department here is excellent. But what is excellent about it is that it's got a reputation. So you will find people all around the world that have come through here, and they'll know people that have, and it's a real club. So tap into that. I can't stress that enough. And the people that you work with when you go into faculty, stay close to them because you never know where they'll end up. That's for sure.
Will do.
Cool.
Awesome.
Katsuki, Ava Max. I know Ava Max. Oh, not personally though.
Hi.
Tell me about Ava Max. Why?
So I'm really inspired by her song because her facial expressions and messages she would like to tell us, and the mood of songs are so great and amazing.
Cool. Excellent. Thank you. Joyce, you want to tell us about why you're interested in Metaverse and why you've put this video up?
I think Metaverse is very interesting.
Oh, I can't hear you. Hang on. Can you be a bit louder?
I think Metaverse is very interesting. We can do a lot of things at home through the Metaverse. The Metaverse is the next evolution of social connection. So I'm looking forward to connecting friends in a new way.
Do you think it'll work this time? Because we've sort of been here before. Do you think it'll work?
Yes, maybe.
Yeah, why? What's different about this time?
Because I think the technique can support the Metaverse work.
I think, yeah, I think it could. Be interesting to see how it goes, though. It's definitely got the user base from Facebook, that's for sure, and Instagram. That's interesting. Levine, do you want to tell us about yours? Thanks, Joyce.
Yeah, thank you. Hi, can you hear my voice?
Hello. Yep.
Yeah, so I choose Thomas Long because one day he came to my city for a sharing session, and I was very lucky to meet him and get his autograph, like I shared before in the class, I remember.
Yeah.
And I cannot deny that he's very, very talented in drumming, but I appreciate his persistence, his drumming skills, and his personality, because, you know, I have communicated with him, and he's very kind, and I can say that he's a good teacher. And I remember I asked him about how he could make his left foot perform as well as his right foot.
Oh, I don't know how you do that.
And
what did he say?
Practice more and spend a lot of time practicing. And I think if a person wants to achieve something, whatever something, he has to stick with it, even if he's a genius, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think persistency and consistency are probably two of the, you know, you can be the smartest person in the world, but consistency of effort is probably more powerful, I think.
Yeah.
You can get further. It's amazing. And I mean, I say that now as nearly a 50-year-old. You know, it's not about the smartest person in the room. It's the person that stays the longest sometimes, I think. Very good. Thank you. Ivy, what have you got?
Yeah. Actually, I did the topic about the virtual reality in the last assessment, and then I found something interesting about account of YouTuber, and they are called VTuber, virtual YouTuber. They use the 2D models to they not showing the real face. They only use the 2D model.
Yep.
And the technique is called the face capturing, and it can catch your face, the action, and your expression by your face, and so it by the figure.
Motion capture.
Yeah.
It's called motion capture. And they use it. I'll show you. I'll see if I can find something quickly. So it was used in Lord of the Rings. It was used in. I'll see if I can find that one. Also in Planet of the Apes, they use that as a lot too. Here you go. Creating Gollum. I'll just share this to you, and you can look at it later, but you'll find it interesting. So this is about how they did Gollum in Lord of the Rings, but that's quite good too, because it sort of redefines how acting is, isn't it? You know, and it's actually a streamlined version for the animation, but the motion capture now captures all of the actual facial expressions. So it's really the actor, but augmented. So that's quite clever too. Excellent. Thank you very much, Ivy. All right. Excellent. That was really good, actually. It's quite interesting to see everyone's stuff. So the next part of this, we're not going to do this today because you've got to do this in your own time. We talk about incubation. So we start to sort of churn through in your subconscious. So you've got your conscious mind, which hopefully you're using at the moment to think about things actively. But when you need to solve a problem, you use what we call the subconscious to basically try and figure out things that you can't quite get hold of yet. So when you say things like, I'm going to sleep on it and think about it later, or if you go for a walk, or you go to the gym, or you go for a swim, or you go for a run, have a shower, mow the lawn, all these sorts of different things where you've got to focus on something else, your subconscious will continue to think about it. And then after a period of time, it'll go, actually, what about this? And you'll crack it. But you've got to give yourself the time to do it as well. You can't just make it do it. It'll do it in its own time. Sometimes you go, oh, I can't remember the name of that thing, and you'll do something else, and then your subconscious will go, it's so-and-so. It's like, great. So it can be a bit of a what if, taking on your own or talking to others. It can be fun. Having things in the back of your mind. I've got a bit of a skill. This is my secret skill. It won't be secret anymore. Where I can watch a TV show, and if I've seen the actor in something else, I can say who they are, what role they played, and what show they played in, just instantly. I don't know why, but I can. I just look at it and go, it's so-and-so. That's so-and-so from this other show. And my friends and family just go, how do you do that? But it just happens. It's just there. It's not a skill that I can monetize, though, unfortunately. Can't make any money out of it, but anyway. But there you go. Incubation, you probably all got secret skills too, who knows? Insight, so based on immersing yourself, looking at a lot of research, pardon me, getting to that insight stage. So normally an insight's about how you interact with something. So what is it that is interesting about how people might interact with something? So in advertising, we used to talk about an insight between a brand and the user. But for us here, we want to think about, well, with augmented reality or virtual reality, what is it about that experience that's interesting? And that's what we would call an insight. So you might not know what the insight is yet, but once you start digging around and exploring, you will get something that will turn up and go, it's this. And then you can test it. That's an interesting process, but you've got to make sure you are ready to write it down, because it doesn't hang around forever. You have to capture it. So even just using your phone and make a voice note to yourself, it's about this. It's really important to do. Evaluation. So checking to see whether that's actually a good idea or not, or a good insight to follow. That requires a bit more research. It also requires a bit more self-discipline to, if you've got an idea or an insight that is not that great, you need to let it go and go with something that's better. That's hard to do, especially when it's creative. You need to be confident enough to find another one. And the best idea is not always the first one. Sometimes it takes a lot of iterations to get to it as well. It's 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. Absolutely. If you're not doing the job, or if you're not doing your work, amazing things will not happen. You can't just get the 1% to happen without the rest of it. So do the work, be consistent, book it in, create a pattern of behavior, and that's going to give you a better chance of helping you with other inspiration. It's hard to force it. It is a process, but sometimes it takes time. I've seen that many, many times, but keep at it is the key thing to do. Sometimes you just, you know, have a flow moment and it comes out and it's all there. Rarely, but it happens, but you've got to be ready for it as well. But if you're not doing the job, it's not going to happen ever. So, ideas, easy to crazy. Now, I always used to say, I still do, that sometimes coming out with a really crazy idea is great because it's a pathway to something that is usable. So you might come out with an idea that's really crazy, but if you take one step back from that and reduce the craziness a little bit, it's actually doable. But without going to the craziness, you can't get to it. So for example, a chatbot, automated conversation, data collection in your area, what could it possibly do? So you can think of an idea that's, well, maybe the chatbot does my assignment for me. That's the crazy version. But Quillbot already does paraphrasing, right? It's already there. It's not a chatbot, but you get the idea. It's a step back from that. So coming up with an endpoint, like the autonomous car, we're nearly there. Tesla's got it. Toyota's mucking around with it at the moment, but they'll be there fairly shortly. But they've got a whole bunch of the skills ready to go. Another one, design and architecture. A chatbot at a design studio to forward phone calls. That's been around for a while, but it's really handy to be able to sort of funnel everything how it goes. To have it funnel and filter so that you end up with the right calls in the right spot. Call centers do this really well now, actually, but being able to do that. So being able to have it to the point, the craziness, well, it's actually quite realistic. To be able to have it so that you don't need people involved at all. Very clever. So I won't go through this one. So don't knock out the crazy. keep the crazy written down because sometimes you can still use it. So write down everything, capture everything is really good. So we want you to think about for your homework what your thesis statement could be. And you might have a couple of them. You might have to overwrite it. So if you write a paragraph about it, that's okay, but just explain it as much as you can. And then if you bring it in, we can have a bit of a workshop around it and see if we can tighten it up. But just say what you want to say, and then we can see, A, if it's something we can deal with, and B, whether we can tighten it up and focus it up. So that's what we want you to do for your homework. That would be good. And next week, we're going to talk about AI designers and creating a chatbot, which will be a bit of fun. All right, any last questions? You can either ask me on Slack, ask me on email. Remember about the extension. Think about what you want to work with too. So don't forget to submit your assignment. Think about what your tech's going to be and start mapping out your timeline as well on Padlet or Trello, whichever you choose to use. All right, that's it. Thanks for today. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you've learned something and hope we've got something progressed a bit. And we will see you next week. All right, have a good day. Have a good rest of the week. Stay healthy, stay safe. Okay, bye-bye.